The moment I felt his eyes on me across the crowded pack gathering, I knew my 5 years of hiding had just ended. My heart stopped. My wolf whimpered inside me, and somewhere in the crowd, I heard him growl a deep,
Who dares
possessive
interrupt our
sound that
sacred
vibrated
ceremony?
through my
I'm
bones
sorry,
like
I didn't
thunder.
know.
I didn't run. I couldn't. Because Alpha, Kale's wolf, had just recognized his mate. I had spent half a decade making sure this exact moment would never happen.
You dare
Let me
spill
tell
the
you
sacred
something
blood in my
about being
hall?
an Omega in a pack ruled by an Alpha, who is also the Lycan King's heir. It means you learn to be invisible. But before we continue, I'd want you to please click the subscribe button below. Like, share and comment your location, thank you. My name is Lyra, and for 23 years, I have existed in the shadows of the Blood Moon Pack. You want to know what that feels like? Imagine walking through a room full of people who look right through you like you're made of glass. Imagine sleeping in quarters so cold your breath fogs in the air while the rest of the pack celebrates the full moon in warmth. That was my life. But 5 years ago, something happened that changed everything. Something I have never told another soul. I met my mate. Not just any mate. Alpha Kale. The most powerful werewolf in 3 territories. The future Lycan King. A man whose very name makes rival packs surrender before a single claw is raised. I was 18, helping serve at the Alpha's annual gathering. He walked past me, and the world stopped. My wolf rose up inside me, screaming, "Him, it's him." Finally. And then I smelled her. The she-wolf on his arm.
I stand before you, Omega, with
Beautiful,
pride. My destiny is
powerful,
fulfilled.
aristocratic, daughter of a neighboring Alpha. She was his intended, the mate his parents had chosen for him since childhood. The pack expected their union. The territories depended on it. I looked at myself that night in my tiny cracked mirror, thin from poor meals, dressed in hand-me-downs, hands calloused from scrubbing floors. An Omega with no family, no status, no future. And I made a choice. I would hide. You see, when a wolf finds their mate, there's a scent bond. It's the most powerful thing in our world. Once it forms, you can't break it. You can't deny it. The pull is physical, emotional, spiritual. It consumes you. But here's the thing no one talks about. The bond requires both wolves to accept it. If one wolf rejects the mate truly, deeply rejects them in their heart, the bond never fully forms. The scent never fully attaches. You can hide. You can run. You can make yourself invisible to the one person your soul screams for. It nearly killed me to do it. For weeks I couldn't eat. I couldn't sleep. Every night I felt him out there, just beyond reach. My
You dare
wolf
spill the
howled
sacred blood in
inside
my
me,
hall?
desperate, confused, heartbroken. But I forced the rejection. I told myself it was for the best. I told myself he deserved someone worthy of him. I told myself lies until I believed them. And it worked. After 3 months, the pull faded. After 6, I could walk past him without my heart shattering. After a year, I almost convinced myself I had imagined the whole thing. Almost. Because here's what I didn't know then. Here's what no one tells an Omega girl who thinks she's protecting her Alpha from a shameful match. A wolf never forgets. Especially not a wolf as powerful as Kale's. 5 years passed. The she-wolf on his arm, Celine, became his official mate in the eyes of the pack. They shared a suite in the Alpha house. They attended gatherings together. Everyone assumed they would formally bond any day. I kept my head down. I served. I cleaned. I disappeared. But I watched him. I couldn't help it. In secret moments, when no one was looking, I let myself look. I watched the way he commanded the pack with quiet authority. I watched the way his jaw tightened when someone challenged him. I watched the way he stood at the moonrise window every night, alone, staring at something I couldn't see. He looked lonely, and that made no sense. He had everything. Power. Status. A beautiful mate. The loyalty of thousands. But sometimes, late at night, I caught his gaze sweeping the room. Searching. For what, I didn't know. Now I wonder if he was searching for me. It happened at the blood moon gathering, the most important night of the year. Every wolf in the territory attends. Alphas from neighboring packs, lycan emissaries. The ceremony lasts from sunset to sunrise. I was serving wine to the elders when I felt it. A shift in the air. A warmth that spread through my chest like someone had poured honey into my veins. My wolf, silent for 5 years, lifted her head. Mate, she whispered. Our mate is near. No, 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 no. I dropped the wine. The glass shattered. Red liquid spread across the stone floor like blood. And then I heard it. A growl. Deep, primal, possessive, cut through the noise of the gathering like a blade through flesh. Conversations stopped. Heads turned. Everyone knew that growl. It was the Alpha's wolf, speaking for the first time in anyone's memory without the Alpha's conscious command.
I'm so sorry,
I looked
never
up.
meant for this.
Kale stood across the hall. His eyes, usually cold, controlled, unreadable, were blazing silver. His hands were shaking. His chest heaved like he'd just run 100 miles. He was staring directly at me. And in that moment, I understood. My hiding was over. My 5 years of denial meant nothing. My sacrifice, my pain, my choice to let him go, all of it erased in a single heartbeat. Because his wolf had found me, and he was coming for what belonged to him. The crowd parted like water before a storm. Wolves pressed back against the walls, eyes wide, scent flooding with fear and confusion. They didn't understand what was happening. Neither did I, but Kale understood. Every step he took toward me shook the floor. His power rolled off him in waves, alpha power, lycan power, something older and darker that made my bones ache. I couldn't move. I couldn't breathe. I couldn't do anything but watch him come. He stopped inches from me, close enough that I could feel the heat of his body, close enough that I could see the silver bleeding into his irises. The wolf so close to the surface I half expected him to shift right there. Who are you? His voice. God, his voice. Deep and rough and shaking with something I couldn't name. Up close, he was even more devastating than I remembered. Broad shoulders. Sharp jaw. Hair black as a moonless night. Scars along his forearms from battles I'd only heard whispers about. Lyra, I whispered. I'm no one. An Omega. I serve in and die. No, he cut me off, leaning closer. His nose brushed my throat. I felt the inhale deep, searching, desperate all the way in my soul. I don't mean your name. I mean, who are you to me? Why does my wolf scream your name? Why have I been searching for something my whole life without knowing what it was? Why, for 5 years, have I dreamed of a scent I could never find? Tears burned my eyes. I couldn't speak. Couldn't tell him the truth. Couldn't admit what I'd done. Seleni's voice cut through the moment like a whip. Kale, she stood at the edge of the crowd, face pale, eyes blazing with something that looked terrifyingly like understanding. Like fear. Kale, step away from the Omega. You're embarrassing yourself. You're embarrassing me. He didn't move. Didn't acknowledge her at all. His hand rose. Slow. Careful. Like he was approaching a wounded animal. His fingers touched my face just barely. Just the barest brush of skin against skin. And the bond slammed into place. 5 years of suppressed mate connection hit me like a freight train. I felt everything. His power. His loneliness. His rage. His desperate, aching need for something he'd never been able to name. I felt his wolf massive ancient, terrifying press against my mind, claiming, protecting, mourning. And he felt me. I knew the moment he did. Because his face changed. The confusion cleared. The silver in his eyes blazed brighter. And then came the pain. You, he breathed. All this time. It was you. 5 years ago. The serving girl at the gathering. I felt something. I searched for weeks. I tore the pack apart looking for a scent that had vanished. Everyone thought I was losing my mind. Selene said I imagined it. My own valve stopped pushing. I thought I'd dreamed you. He gripped my arms. Not hard enough to hurt. Hard enough that I couldn't escape. But you didn't disappear, did you? You hid. You rejected the bond. You chose to let me suffer 5 years of emptiness rather than... His voice broke. And I watched the most powerful wolf in 3 territories fight back tears. Tell me why. The crowd leaned in. Selene's face contorted with fury. The elders whispered. But I saw none of it. I saw only him. Only the agony in his silver eyes. Why did you hide from me? Cliffhanger. I opened my mouth to answer to tell him about Selene, about his family's expectations, about my own worthless status when a new scent cut through the air. Blood. Mine. Because Selene had shifted in the blink of an eye. Because her claws longer than I'd expected, sharper than an ordinary, wolves had buried themselves in my stomach before anyone could stop her. And as I fell, as Kale's roar of fury echoed through the hall, as the last thing I saw was his face contorted with rage and terror, I realized something. Selene wasn't just jealous. She was something else entirely. Something that had been waiting 5 years for this moment. Something that had just made the biggest mistake of her life. Because now Kale knew. And the Lycan King's heir didn't forgive. He destroyed. Part 2, The King's Claim. Hook. When I opened my eyes, I wasn't on the cold stone floor of the gathering hall. I was in Kale's bed. His scent surrounded me. His warmth soaked into my skin. And his voice low, broken, furious whispered against my ear. If you ever hide from me again, I will burn this world down to find you. I believed him. That the real nightmare was just beginning. Because Selene's claws had done more than wound me. They had revealed a truth that would shatter everything. Let me tell you what it feels like to wake up in your mate's bed for the first time. It feels like coming home to a place you've never been. It feels like your wolf finally stops pacing, stops howling, stops searching. It feels like peace, until you remember why you're there. I tried to sit up, but pain exploded through my abdomen. I gasped, falling back against pillows so soft I'd never felt anything like them. The room swam huge, luxurious, decorated in deep reds and blacks that screamed alpha territory. You're awake, Kale's voice, rough from what sounded like hours of disuse. I turned my head. He sat in a chair beside the bed, not sleeping, not resting, just watching me. His eyes were dark now, human brown instead of wolf silver. But the intensity hadn't faded. If anything, it had deepened. How long? I whispered. 3 days. 3 days. I'd lost 3 days. The healer said your body fought off the worst of it. Wolves heal fast, especially Omegas apparently. You're kinda tougher than anyone gives you credit for. A bitter edge crept into his voice. But Selene's claws carried something. Poison. Old magic. It slowed everything down. Poison. Old magic. I remembered her eyes in that last moment before I fell. Not just angry. Knowing. Like she'd been waiting for this exact scenario. Why would she? Why would she try to kill my mate? Kale finished. His hands gripped the chair arms so hard the wood creaked. I've been asking that question for 3 days. I've had my best trackers investigating her quarters, her history, her family. What they found, he stood, walked to the window, stared out at the moon just beginning to rise. What they found changes everything. I waited. My heart pounded so hard I could feel it in my throat. The bond between us pulsed with his emotions, anger, Yes, but also something darker. Something like fear. Selene isn't a wolf, he said quietly. I blinked. What? She's not a wolf. She never was. He turned to face me, and the expression on his face made my blood run cold. She's a witch. A blood witch from the old covens we thought were extinct. She's been using magic for years to mask her scent, to appear wolf-born, to bind herself to me, bind herself to him. Binding magic, I breathed. That's why the mate bond never fully took. That's why you could never find me. She was blocking you. She was feeding on my power for 5 years. His voice dropped to something dangerous. Every full moon, when my wolf was strongest, she'd perform rituals. I thought she was just traditional. I thought she was devoted to pack customs. I was a fool. He crossed the room in 3 strides, sitting on the edge of the bed, close enough that I could feel the heat of him, close enough that I could see the pain in his eyes. She knew about you, Lyra. She knew from the beginning. The night we met, when I felt that pull and couldn't explain it, she felt it too. She tracked you, watched you reject the bond, and she made sure you stayed hidden. I shook my head, not wanting to believe it. How? I hid myself. I rejected the bond myself. That was my choice, No, he said it gently, but firmly, like he was about to break my heart. An Omega's rejection can hide the bond from the Alpha's conscious mind, but it can't hide it from the Alpha's wolf. My wolf should have kept searching, should have torn this pack apart until he found you. The fact that he stopped, the fact that he went quiet for 5 years. He reached out, took my hand. His fingers were warm, calloused, impossibly gentle for hands that had killed more wolves than I could count. That wasn't your doing. That was her magic. I couldn't breathe. 5 years. 5 years of loneliness, of aching, of convincing myself I'd done the right thing. 5 years of watching him from the shadows, believing I was protecting him. And all of it was built on a lie. A witch's lie. She was waiting, I whispered. She was waiting for me to be found, for your wolf to finally break through. Because when my mate bond fully activated, it would break her binding spell. And when that happened, his jaw tightened. When that happened, the magic would rebound. It would expose her, but it would also leave a mark, a tracker, so she could find you. So she could. He stopped, swallowed, so she could kill you before I could claim you fully. Before the bond became unbreakable, I looked down at my stomach, at the wound that was still healing, still tender, the wound her poisoned claws had made. She wasn't trying to kill me because I'd taken you from her, I said slowly. She was trying to kill me because my existence threatened her entire plan. Yes, and now? Kale's eyes flickered silver. His wolf, so close to the surface. Now she's gone. She fled the moment she realized the binding was broken. My wolves are searching, but she has magic. She can hide. She can. He stopped again. This time, his hand tightened on mine. She can find you, Lyra, wherever you are. The tracker mark she left, we can't remove it. Not completely. The poison wasn't just to hurt you. It was to claim you. To make sure that wherever you go, for the rest of your life, she'd be able to sense you. I should have been terrified. And I was. But sitting there, holding his hand, feeling the bond pulse between us like a living thing, I realized something. I wasn't alone anymore. The next days passed in a blur. Kale moved me into his quarters, not the suite he'd shared with Selene, but his private rooms in the Alpha House's highest tower. Rooms no one else had ever entered. Rooms that smelled only of him. He brought me food himself, checked my wound himself, slept in the chair beside my bed every night, because I couldn't bear to be alone, and he couldn't bear to leave me. The pack didn't understand. I heard their whispers through the walls. The Omega, the servant. How had she caught the Alpha's attention? What magic had she used? Was she another witch? Another trick? But Kale ignored them all. And slowly I began to learn him. I learned that he woke before dawn every day, trained for hours, pushed his body to exhaustion because it was the only way to quiet his mind. I learned that he hated the formal dinners, the political games, the constant maneuvering of pack leadership. I learned that he read old books, histories, legends, anything about the time before packs were organized, when wolves ran wild and free. I learned that he was lonely, more lonely than I'd ever been. Everyone wants something from me, he told me one night. 3 weeks after the gathering. 3 weeks of healing, of talking, of dancing around the thing that pulsed between us. Power, protection, status, children. They all see the alpha, the lichen heir. They don't see. He stopped, stared at the fire. I see you, I whispered. His eyes met mine. And for the first time since I'd known him, he smiled. Not the cold, controlled smile he gave at gatherings. Not the sharp, dangerous smile he gave his warriors. A real smile, soft, wondering, like he'd just discovered something precious. I know, he said. That's what terrifies me. Cliffhanger. The knock came at midnight. Urgent. Desperate. Kale was on his feet before I could blink, shifting partially, claws extending, eyes blazing silver. He pulled the door open to find one of his trackers, pale and shaking, blood dripping from a wound on his arm. Alpha, the wolf gasped. We found her. We found Selene. Kale's body tensed. Where? She's not alone. She's got help. The old covens, they're not extinct. They've been waiting, building power. An alpha. The tracker's eyes flicked to me, filled with something that looked like pity. She's been watching. She knows the Omega is still here. She knows the bond is forming. He held out his hand. In it, a letter, sealed with wax that smelled of blood and magic. Kale broke the seal. Read. His face went pale, then red, then something worse, something that looked like terror. What is it? I asked, getting out of bed, crossing to him despite my still healing wound. Kale, what does it say? He looked at me, and in his eyes I saw the truth before he spoke it. The tracker mark on my stomach, the poison Selene had used. It wasn't just to find me, it was to bind me to her, to use me as a vessel for something she was about to become, something that would make the Lichen King's heir beg. Part 3, the blood claim. Hook. The mark on my stomach burned for the first time since. Selene's claws had torn through me, burned like fire, like ice, like something ancient and evil waking up. Kale caught me as I fell, and in my mind, a voice I didn't recognize whispered words. I couldn't understand words that made my wolf whimper and my blood run cold. The vessel awakens. The blood calls. The queen returns. I didn't know what it meant. But Kale did. And the look on his face told me we were already too late. Let me tell you about blood magic. In our world, magic exists. Most wolves pretend it doesn't. We tell ourselves we're pure, natural, untouched by the old powers. But the truth, the oldest packs were founded by wolves who made deals with witches. Deals for power. Deals for territory. Deals for mates. Deals that always came due. I learned this lying in Kale's arms as the burning in my stomach spread through my entire body. Learned it as he held me, rocked me, whispered things I couldn't hear because the pain was too loud. But I heard enough. Selene wasn't just a witch. She was the last descendant of the blood, coven the most dangerous witches in history. Witches who had nearly destroyed the werewolf race 500 years ago. Witches who had been hunted to extinction. Or so everyone thought. They've been hiding, Kale said, his voice rough with fury and fear. Building power. Waiting for the right moment. and I gave it to them. I brought her into my pack, into my home, into my... He stopped, swallowed. I fed her my power for 5 years. Every full moon, when my Wolf was strongest, she drained me, stored it, used it to prepare for... He couldn't finish. For what? I gasped. The burning was fading now, settling into something deeper. Something that felt like roots growing inside me. Kale, for what? He looked at me, and in his eyes, I saw the answer before he spoke. For you. The healer came. Then another. Then an elder who remembered things no one else did. They examined me, touched the mark, whispered to each other in languages I didn't understand. Finally, the elder, a woman named Marta, old enough to have seen centuries, sat beside my bed and took my hand. Child, she said gently, do you know what a blood vessel is? I shook my head. In the old days, when witches wanted to become more than witches, when they wanted to ascend, to become something closer to gods, they needed a host. A living body strong enough to contain their power during the transformation. Strong enough to survive the birth of a new immortal. My blood went cold. Selene has been preparing for this for decades. She bound herself to the Alpha to drain his power. She waited for his true mate to appear, because a mate, bond especially one denied and suppressed for 5 years, creates the perfect vessel. The rejection weakened you. The bond strengthened you. The combination makes you fertile ground for a monster to be born. She's going to use me, I whispered. She's going to use my body to... Yes, Marta's eyes were kind. That made it worse. The mark on your stomach isn't just a tracker. It's an anchor. She's attached herself to you. When she begins her ascension, she'll pull herself into your body. Use your Wolf, your strength, your life force to survive the transformation. And when she's done, she'll kill me. No, Marta squeezed my hand. Worse, she'll wear you. Your body will become hers. Your soul will be trapped inside, watching, as she uses your face to destroy everything you love. Kale didn't speak for an hour after Marta left. He sat by the window, staring at the moon, his body so still he could have been carved from stone. But I felt him through the bond. Felt the rage building, the fear, the desperate, clawing need to protect me. Finally, he spoke. There's a way to stop it. I waited. The blood claim, that's what this is called. A witch claiming a vessel for ascension. It's old magic, dark magic, but like all magic, it has a weakness. He turned to face me. His eyes were red-rimmed, his jaw tight. If the vessel is already claimed by someone else, claimed in a way that's deeper, older, more powerful than blood magic, the witch can't enter. The claim blocks her. Claimed. You mean mating bond? The full bond. Not just recognition. Not just attraction. The complete, unbreakable, soul-deep bond that only happens when 2 wolves complete the ritual. When they exchange blood and vows under the full moon. My heart stopped. You want to, I want to save you. He crossed the room in 3 strides, dropping to his knees beside my bed. The most powerful Wolf in 3 territories on his knees. For me. Lyra, I know this isn't how you imagined it. I know you didn't choose this. Didn't choose me. For 5 years, you chose to hide, to sacrifice, to protect me from a match you thought would shame me. His voice broke. But I'm telling you now, I don't care about status. I don't care about pack expectations. I don't care about anything except you. My Wolf has screamed your name for 5 years. I've been half alive without knowing why. And now that I've found you, now that I know what I was missing, he gripped my hands. I can't lose you. Not to her. Not to anyone. Let me claim you. Let me bind you to me so deeply that no magic, no witch, no power in this world can touch you. Tears streamed down my face. You don't even know me. I know your scent. I know your soul. I know that when I'm near you, my Wolf is finally quiet. Finally at peace. Finally whole. He pressed my hands to his chest, over his heart. The rest we have forever to learn. Forever. With him. The alpha I'd loved from afar for 5 years. The mate I'd denied myself. The man who looked at me like I was the answer to a question he'd been asking his whole life. Yes, I whispered. His eyes blazed silver. Yes? Yes. Claim me. Save me. Love me. He pulled me into his arms so fast I gasped. His lips found mine gentle at first, then deeper, hungrier. The bond between us blazed to life, brighter than before, filling every empty space in my soul. When he finally pulled back, his forehead rested against mine. Tomorrow night, he breathed. The full moon. We'll do it properly. With the pack as witnesses. With the old rituals. With everything you deserve. I nodded, unable to speak. But in the back of my mind, the mark on my stomach pulsed. And the voice whispered again. Tomorrow night. Perfect. The more powerful the bond, the sweeter the vessel. I didn't tell Kale. I couldn't, because somewhere deep inside, I knew the truth. Salimi wanted this. She wanted the full mating bond. Wanted the power it would generate. Wanted me at my strongest, my most connected, my most alive. Because that's when the vessel is most valuable. That's when the harvest begins. The next day passed in a blur of preparation. Word spread through the pack that the alpha had found his true mate. That the Omega, the servant, the invisible girl, would become their Luna. Reactions varied. Shock. Disbelief. Anger. Acceptance. I heard the whispers. She's not worthy. She's nothing. She ruined him. But Kale heard them too. And at midday he gathered the entire pack in the great hall. Pulled me to his side. Faced them all with eyes that promised violence. Anyone who doubts my mate, he said quietly, doubts me. Anyone who disrespects her, disrespects me. Anyone who harms her, he let the silence stretch, will answer to my Wolf. No one spoke. No one doubted. That night, as the moon began to rise, Marta came to prepare me. She bathed me in water scented with moonflowers, dressed me in white silk, braided my hair with silver threads. And as she worked, she told me things. About the bond. About the ritual. About what to expect when Kale's teeth pierced my throat. When my blood mixed with his. When our souls became one. It will hurt, she said gently. But the pain is temporary. What comes after the connection? The warmth. The knowing that lasts forever. Forever. The mark pulsed. I ignored it. What if something goes wrong? Marta's hands stilled. What do you mean? What if the witch tries to interfere? What if she attacks during the ritual? Marta was quiet for a long moment. Then she resumed braiding. The ritual ground is sacred, protected by centuries of pack magic. No witch can enter. No dark power can touch it. She met my eyes in the mirror. You'll be safe there. Safer than anywhere. Safe. I wanted to believe her, but the voice in my head just laughed. Cliffhanger. The full moon rose blood red over the pack grounds. Kale waited for me at the center of the sacred circle, surrounded by elders, by warriors, by every Wolf who mattered. He wore ceremonial black, his chest bare, his skin marked with ancient symbols of claiming. He looked like a god. I walked toward him, my heart pounding, my soul reaching for his. And then I felt it, the mark on my stomach burning like never before, burning like something was tearing its way out. I stumbled, caught myself, kept walking. But the voice in my head wasn't whispering anymore. It was screaming. Now, now, now. I reached Kale, took his hands, looked into his silver eyes. I love you, I whispered. His smile was the most beautiful thing I'd ever seen. And then, My body stopped being mine. Part 4, The Harvest. Hook. I watched my own hand rise toward Kale's chest. I felt my own lips part to speak. But the words weren't mine. Hello, Alpha, miss me? Seleni's voice. From my mouth. My body. My soul. And in Kale's eyes I saw the exact moment he realized what had happened. The harvest had begun. And I was just the cage. Let me tell you what it feels like to lose yourself. It feels like drowning in slow motion. Like watching a ship sink from far away and realizing, slowly, that you're on it. Like screaming with no sound, fighting with no strength, existing with no control. Selene pushed into me like smoke through cracks. I felt her spread through my limbs, my thoughts, my very blood. She wasn't gentle. She wasn't kind. She was ancient and hungry and patient, so patient after decades of waiting. Stop fighting, she whispered in my mind. You'll only make it worse. I fought anyway. For Kale. For myself. For the future we'd almost had. But she was too strong. Too prepared. She'd been feeding on alpha power for 5 years. She'd been planning this for a century. And I was just an omega. What chance did I have? Kale's face went through 5 stages of horror in 3 seconds. Confusion. Denial. Understanding. Rage. And then terror. Get out of her. His voice was low. Deadly. The voice he used before he killed. But Selene just laughed with my mouth. Oh, Alpha. You think you can command me? You, who slept beside me for 5 years and never suspected. You, who fed me your power every full moon like a loyal little pet. My body, her body, now stepped closer to him. My hand reached up to touch his face. I felt his skin through her fingers, felt him flinch. Don't. Or what? She smiled my smile. You'll hurt this body? You'll hurt your precious mate. Go ahead, I'm comfortable here. I've been waiting so long for a vessel this. Perfect. Young. Strong. Connected to the most powerful. Alpha in generations. Her hand slid down to my stomach. Pressed against the mark. Thank you for that, by the way. The bond you were about to complete? It would have made her untouchable. But you waited. You wanted to do it properly. With witnesses. With rituals. She laughed again. Men. Always so worried about appearances. The pack surrounded us. Warriors shifted. Elders chanted. Marta rushed forward. Hands raised. Old magic crackling around her fingers. But Selene just watched. Calm. Amused. You can't hurt me, she said. Any spell you throw at me hits her. Any claw that touches me tears her. I'm not wearing her like a coat. I'm woven into her. Every cell. Every thought. Every heartbeat. Marta's hands dropped. Her face went pale. She's telling the truth. Kale's roar shook the ground. He shifted. Not partially, fully. His wolf was massive, black as night, eyes blazing silver. The most terrifying creature I'd ever seen. And he was helpless, because to hurt her was to hurt me. Selene watched him pace, watched him rage, watched him nearly lose control. And then she spoke. I'll make you a deal, Alpha. Kale's wolf froze, growled. You want her back? Fine. She's not much use to me dead anyway. I need a body, not a corpse. But I also need power to complete my ascension. More power than even 5 years of feeding from you provided. She tilted my head. Smiled my smile. Complete the bond. Silence. Complete the mating bond with her, with me inside her. The power surge from a completed alpha bond will be enough to finish my transformation. I'll ascend. And when I do, I'll leave her body. She'll wake up. Alive. Whole, yours. Kale's wolf shifted back to man. He stood naked, unashamed, his eyes never leaving my face. And if I refuse, then I stay here forever. She stays locked inside while I use her body to destroy everything you love. Starting with the pack. Starting tonight. She raised my hand. Fire gathered in my palm, blood magic. Dark and hungry. I can do a lot of damage before anyone stops me. And they won't kill me. Not while she's inside. So you'll watch. Powerless, while I burn your world down. The silence stretched. I felt Kale through the bond, felt his agony. His rage, his desperate love. Felt him weighing options. Searching for a third path. A clever trick, anything. There was nothing. Kale, I screamed in my mind. Don't do it. I'd rather die than have her win. But he couldn't hear me. Selene had blocked the bond. I was alone in the dark, screaming into nothing. Fine. Kale's voice broke my heart. Fine. I'll do it. Selene's smile widened. I knew you would. Alphas are so predictable. So noble. So willing to sacrifice for the ones they love. She stepped closer to him, my body pressing against his. Let's begin. The elders protested. Marta wept. Warriors shifted restlessly, unsure whether to attack or wait. But Kale ignored them all. He pulled her into his arms. And he kissed me. Through Selene's control, I felt it. His lips on mine. His warmth. His desperation. And something else. A thread. Thin as spider silk. Reaching through the dark toward me. Lyra, his voice. In my mind. Lyra, can you hear me? I screamed with everything I had. Yes, I'm here. Hold on. I'm going to try something. It might not work. It might make things worse. But I won't let her have you. I won't. The kiss deepened. The bond blocked. Dead. Silence suddenly flared. Not the full bond. Not yet, but a crack. A opening. Just enough. When I complete the bond. Kale's voice said, there will be a moment. A split second when the power flows both ways. When she's taking, but also giving. When the connection is open. What do I do? Fight. Take back what's yours. Push her out. I'll be there. I'll help. We'll do it together. Together. For the first time in hours, I felt hope. The ritual began. Kale's teeth found my throat. Gentle, precise, ceremonial bite that started the claiming. Selene moaned inside me, not in pain, but in pleasure. She could feel it too. The power building. The bond forming. Almost, she whispered. Almost there. His blood mixed with mine. His power flowed into me. And then, the surge. It hit like lightning. Like the sun. Like every full moon I'd ever seen exploding at once. Selene screamed, really screamed, as the power flooded through her. Through me. Through both of us. And in that moment, the bond opened. Not just open. Wide open. I could feel Kale again. His love. His strength. His determination. And I could feel Selene. Her fear. Her greed. Her centuries of loneliness and rage. She was powerful, but she was also broken. Desperate. Terrified of dying. Of fading, of being forgotten. Now, Kale's voice roared, now. I pushed. Cliffhanger. Selene fought. God, how she fought. She clawed at my consciousness. Shrieking, tearing, trying to hold on. 5 years of preparation. Decades of waiting. She wouldn't give up. Couldn't give up. But she wasn't alone in here anymore. Kale's power poured into me, strengthening me, filling every corner of my soul. And with it came something else. The pack. Every wolf who had ever called Blood Moon home. Every ancestor who had fought and loved and died for this territory. Every soul bound to Kale's bloodline. They were with me. And together, we were stronger. Selene screamed one last time, a sound of pure, desperate fury. And then, silence. I opened my eyes. I was in Kale's arms. The moon hung overhead. The pack surrounded us, silent, watching. And I was alone in my body. For the first time in hours. Alone. But as I opened my mouth to speak, as Kale's face broke into a smile of relief and joy, the mark on my stomach pulsed. Once. And I heard it. A whisper. You think you've won, little Omega. You haven't. I'm not gone. I'm just waiting. Part 5. The waiting. For 3 weeks, I pretended I was fine. I let Kale hold me. Let the pack celebrate. Let myself believe the nightmare was over. But every night when I closed my eyes, I felt her. Waiting. Watching. Growing. And last night, for the first time, I woke up with blood on my hands. Blood I didn't spill. Blood that wasn't mine. And in the mirror, for just a second, I saw her smile. Let me tell you what it's like to live with a monster inside you. It's like carrying a loaded gun in a crowded room. Like walking a tightrope over fire. Like knowing, deep in your bones, that peace is just the quiet before destruction. Kale thought I was healing. I let him think it. He'd check on me, constantly bringing food, sitting with me during the day, holding me through the night. The bond between us hummed with his love, his relief, his hope. But I couldn't feel it the same way anymore. Because every time I reached for him through the bond, I felt her too. Not loud, not obvious, just present. A shadow at the edge of my awareness. A whisper I couldn't quite hear. I didn't tell him. What would I say? Hey, I think the witch who tried to wear my body might still be in here somewhere. No big deal. Pass the bread. He'd lose his mind. He'd tear the pack apart trying to find a solution. He'd exhaust himself, obsess, destroy his own peace trying to save me. And I couldn't do that to him. Not after everything. The first sign that something was wrong came on the 10th night. I woke up in the kitchen. Not our bedroom. Not the bathroom. The kitchen. 3 floors down from the Alpha's tower. Standing at the counter. With a knife in my hand. I stared at it for a full minute before I understood what I was seeing. My fingers wrapped around the handle. My knuckles white. The blade sharp. Clean. No blood. But my nightgown was wet. I looked down. Water. Just water. The sink was running. Overflowing. Spilling onto the floor. I turned it off. Put the knife down. Walked back to bed on shaking legs. Kale hadn't woken. He slept deeply now. For the first time in years. Because his mate was safe. And the bond was complete. I didn't sleep at all. The second sign came on night 14. I woke up outside. Standing in the forest. Barefoot. Freezing. The moon full overhead. My breath fogging in the air. The pack border was 50 feet away. 1 step past it. And the territory wards would have triggered. Warriors would have found me. Kale would have woken to an empty bed and a search party. I stepped back. Slowly, carefully, and as I turned to go inside, I saw them. Footprints in the snow. Not mine. Smaller, delicate, leading toward the border, not away. Leading from me. I stared at them for a long time. Tried to remember walking here. Tried to remember leaving the bed. Nothing. Just darkness. Just silence. Just her. Waiting. I started watching myself after that. Every moment. Every movement. I became hyper-aware of my own body, the way my hands moved, the way my mouth shaped words, the way my eyes tracked things I wasn't looking at. Kale noticed. "You're tense," he said one evening. We sat by the fire. His arm around me, his warmth seeping into my cold skin. "You're not sleeping. Talk to me." I almost did. Almost told him everything. But then I saw my reflection in the window behind him. Saw my own face smiling. I wasn't smiling, but my reflection was. I'm fine, I whispered. Just adjusting. It's a lot. He accepted it, pulled me closer, kissed my hair, and behind him, my reflection kept smiling. Night 18 was the worst. I woke up with blood on my hands. Not mine. Not much. Just a few drops, dried and dark, crusted under my fingernails. I checked my body first. Nothing. No wounds. No pain. Then Kale. Still sleeping. Peaceful, unharmed. Then the room. Clean, quiet, normal. But on the bedside table, next to the lamp, was a small piece of paper. One word written in handwriting I didn't recognize. Soon, I burned it in the fireplace. Washed my hands until they were raw. Climbed back into bed and lay there, staring at the ceiling, until dawn. When Kale woke, I smiled, kissed him, made him breakfast. But I didn't eat. I couldn't, because every time I looked at food, I saw blood. And every time I looked at Kale, I saw my reflection behind him. Still smiling, still waiting. The change was subtle at first. Little things. I'd reach for the salt and knock over the pepper. I'd start a sentence and forget the middle. I'd walk into a room and stand there, frozen for minutes at a time, unable to remember why I'd come. Kale blamed stress. The pack blamed adjustment. Marta blamed lingering magical residue. I blamed her, but I couldn't prove it. Couldn't feel her directly anymore. Couldn't hear her whispers or sense her presence. She'd learned to hide better, and while she hid, she grew. On night 21, I woke up in the middle of the claiming circle, the sacred ground, the place where Kale had tried to bond with me, where Selene had taken control. I stood in the exact center, naked, shivering, surrounded by moonlight. And I wasn't alone. 5 wolves stood at the edge of the circle. Warriors, guards, wolves, whose job it was to protect this place. They were all dead, killed cleanly, quickly, their throats torn out by claws that looked exactly like mine. I looked down at my hands. Blood. Fresh. Wet. Dripping. And in my mind, her voice returned. See? I told you. I was just waiting. Waiting for you to trust. Waiting for you to relax. Waiting for the perfect moment to show you what I can do while you sleep. This is just the beginning, little Omega. Next time, I won't kill strangers. Next time, I'll kill someone you love. And you'll watch. From inside. Cliffhanger. I didn't run. I didn't scream. I knelt there in the blood of wolves. I'd killed wolves. I'd killed without knowing, without choosing, without any control, and I made a decision. If Selene wanted to use my body to destroy, fine. But she'd have to destroy me first. I reached inside myself. Deeper than thought. Deeper than instinct. Deeper than anything I'd ever touched before. And I found her, crouched in a corner of my soul like a spider in its web. Feeding, growing, waiting. I grabbed her, and I pulled. She screamed, really screamed, as I dragged her into the light. As I forced her to face me. As I looked into the eyes of the monster who thought she could use me as a puppet. You want this body? I whispered. Fine, take it. But you don't get to hide. You don't get to wait. You face me now. Here, in the only place you can't lie. My soul. Her prison. Our battlefield. She laughed. You think you can fight me? You're an Omega. A nothing. I've lived centuries. I've killed thousands. You've never faced someone with nothing to lose. I lunged. And in the real world, my body collapsed. Kale found me an hour later. Cold. Unresponsive. The IT bond between us flickering like a dying candle. He held me, screamed for help, begged me to come back, but I couldn't hear him. I was somewhere else, fighting for my life, and losing. Part 6, The Reckoning. Hook. They say every soul has a core, a center, a place so deep and so true that nothing can touch it unless you let it. I found mine in the darkness, and Selene was already there, waiting. Welcome home, little Omega, she whispered. I've been redecorating. Around us, everything I loved burned. My memories, my hopes, my future with Kale, all of it on fire. And in the ashes, Selene smiled. Ready to die? Let me tell you what I learned in the darkness. I learned that Selene wasn't just a witch. She was a survivor. The last of a coven that had been hunted, burned, and betrayed for 500 years. She'd watched her sisters die, watched her mother executed, watched her father, a lichen, of all things, walk away without looking back. She was broken, but broken things can still kill. You think you're the first Omega to catch an alpha's eye? She spat, circling me in the burning landscape of my soul. You think you're special? You're just the latest in a long line of nobodies who got lucky. I stood my ground. If I'm so lucky, why are you so threatened? She lunged. We fought. Not with claws or teeth, this was soul fighting. Deeper than physical, more painful than anything I'd ever experienced. She tore through my memories like pages from a book. Showed me every humiliation, every rejection, every moment of my life where I'd felt small and worthless. Look at you, she hissed. A servant. An orphan. A wolf so weak even your own pack forgot you existed. And you think you deserve the alpha? You think you deserve love? She shoved an image at me, Kale, laughing with Selene during their years together. Happy. Content. Not searching. Not lonely. He was fine without you. Better without you. I made him happy. I gave him everything. And you used him. My voice was quiet, but steady. You fed on him. You stole his power and his choices, and his chance at a real mate. That's not love. That's theft, she screamed. Attacked again. But this time I was ready. I'd spent 5 years hiding from Kale. 5 years suppressing my own nature, denying my own wolf, pretending I didn't want what I wanted. That took strength. More strength than Selene understood. Because while she'd spent centuries gathering power from others, I'd spent my whole life surviving with nothing. No family, no status, no protection. Just me. And I was still here. You want my body? I grabbed her, held her, stared into her ancient, desperate eyes. You want my life? My mate? My future? I pulled her closer. Come and get it. The battle shifted. She was stronger, centuries older, magically enhanced, fed on alpha power for years. But I was rooted. Rooted in my love for Kale. Rooted in the bond we'd formed. Rooted in the knowledge that I wasn't fighting alone. Because even here, in the deepest part of my soul, I could feel him. Kale, holding my body, begging me to come back, pouring his love through the bond like water into desert soil. And with every drop I grew stronger. Selene felt it too. Her attacks became desperate, wild. She threw everything at me, dark magic, ancient curses, horrors I couldn't name. I absorbed them all, and I kept coming. You can't win, she shrieked. I'm immortal. I'm eternal. You're alone. She froze. Look around, I said. Really look. What do you see? She looked. The burning landscape. The destruction. The loneliness. No pack. No mate. No one who loves you. No one who'd die for you. No one who'd even mourn you. I stepped closer. You've lived 500 years, Selene. And in all that time, has anyone ever held you like Kale holds me? Has anyone ever looked at you like I look at him? Has anyone ever chosen you? Not for your power, not for your magic, just you? She broke. Not dramatically, Not with screaming or crying or any of the things I expected. She just crumbled, folding in on herself like a paper burning, edges curling, colors fading. I forgot, she whispered. I forgot what it felt like. To be seen, to be wanted, to be loved. She looked up at me. For the first time, I saw her clearly. Not the monster, not the witch, just a woman. Broken, alone, terrified. Can you? She swallowed. Can you forgive me? I thought about it. Thought about the 5 years she'd stolen from me. The pain she'd caused Kale. The wolves I'd killed while she controlled me. No, I said quietly. I can't forgive you. But I can let you go. And I did. I opened the door of my soul, the door she'd been trying to force for weeks, and I let her walk through. Not into my body. Out. Into whatever came next. She paused at the threshold. Looked back. Tell him, she said. Tell Kale that for 5 years I wasn't just using him. I was hoping he'd see me. Really see me. He never did. She stepped through and was gone. I woke up in Kale's arms. The sun was rising. Real sun, not the false light of my soul battle. Warm, golden, beautiful. He was crying. You're back, he whispered. You're back, you're back, I'm back. I touched his face, wiped his tears, smiled, and for the first time in weeks, the smile was just mine. Here's what I want you to take from this story. Not the magic, not the battles, not the wolves or witches or ancient blood feuds. This, love doesn't ask if you're worthy. Love doesn't check your status. Love doesn't care about your past or your pain or your fears. Love just arrives. And when it does, you have a choice. You can hide like I did for 5 years. You can tell yourself you're protecting them. Protecting yourself. Protecting everyone from the mess of who you are. Or you can open the door. You can let yourself be seen. Really seen. All of you, the broken parts. The scared parts. The parts you think no one could ever love. And you might be surprised. Because the people who truly love you, they don't want the polished version. They don't want the mask. They want you. Mess and all. Kale wanted me. Even when I was hiding. Even when I was fighting. Even when a witch wore my body and used my hands to kill. He never stopped wanting me. That's not luck. That's not fate. That's love. Real love. The kind that sees you in the dark and says, come back to the light. I'll wait. So here's my question for you. Who are you hiding from? What would happen if you stopped? And are you brave enough to find out? Because I was. And I got everything. Thank you for listening to Lyra's story. If you want to hear more tales of love, loss, and the wolves who find their way through the dark, subscribe, share, and remember, the moon sees everything. Even the parts you try to hide.